Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Eric.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. I'm exhausted, though. Got to be very honest. Moving is not an easy sport.
No.
Nor, by the way, is it a quick sport when you are playing it yourself. It's
This is an extended metaphor.
yeah. We live 5 blocks from our old place, and Jeff and I are like, well, you know what? We'll just move everything ourselves, and it's been a lot.
Yeah.
It's been a lot, but we are 99% moved in. Still got some things to hang on the wall. Still got some things to sort of finish, but
Well, before we even
we're
go
in good
into
shape.
before we even go into like anything else, I do want to, among other things that we're hanging up,
yeah.
I want to talk about one of the things that you discovered from your calendars.
Well, okay. So when you move after being in one spot for over a decade, you discover a lot of things you forgot about. There's pictures, there's like old tax forms, or there's lots of calendars that you used to keep from many years ago. And, you know, amongst all these boxes, I do have all of these calendars, week by week calendars that I wrote down what I was doing. This is before iPhones, before Blackberries or whatever, before Google calendars.
Yeah.
I would write down what I was going to do each day, and when I was moving these...
But that's not the weird part. The weird part is that you kept like 15 of these, and
not 15.
Not 15. And so I said that you were like Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah, just keeping my calendars, Dad. So Jeff shamed me from being a pack rat, and I was like, you know what? Fine, I'll throw them all away to make you happy. Mm-hmm. Netflix person.
Oh, Marie Kondo. Yeah. If it doesn't bring you joy, then throw it out.
Right. So I was like, you know what? I'm getting a whole bunch of things framed. You know what? I have a good idea. Let me go back and find the week that I went to the Grammys with Kanye West.
He who must not be named.
Yeah. And I pulled those 2 pages out clean. I didn't rip them out or anything. I took them out safely, and there's a lot of really cool information on those 2 sheets that paint a pretty cool picture of who I was then and who I am now, and the things that I had to do.
Like you wrote down all the events.
Yeah.
You wrote down that you wanted to write thank you notes to Don C. and to John Monopoly and to
it's very sweet
Nabil
to look back
and to A-Track.
Yeah, Chike and Cootie and Marcus and Barry and all the guys. And it's very it's cool to consider how far I've made it since that point, and it's really nice now to have it framed and mounted and ready to go up on the wall at some point. So anyway, I was back at the old apartment and I was shredding documents.
Which sounds sketchy.
I was shredding documents. Guys, come on.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
what nefarious business have you been up to?
That's all that needs to be said. I was back at the apartment shredding documents. Mm-hmm. And you
because
texted...
the feds were going to make a run.
And you texted and you said that you were going down to SOB's...
Yeah, because West Side Gun and Conway and Benny the Butcher and all them.
Smoke Dizza.
Yeah. They were all going to be down at SOB's. And I was like, oh, that's dope.
Because, we had been moving for a week. And you wanted to get out, be on the scene, show your face, say hi to people, and have a nice night.
Be on the scene?
Be on the scene.
I wanted to
step out. Jeff put
in my finest
his best leather jacket.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you
I
said
went
you were going to go
down
down
and
there.
I walk in the spot.
Yep.
Junior let me right in.
Yeah.
No ticket. Shout out to all my people at SOB's. And I walk in and it was packed. It was really, really packed. I hadn't seen an SOB's crowd like that in quite a while. Mm-hmm. And I'm feeling good. I saw a few people. Smoke Dizza was like, yo, let's go to the VIP section. Yeah. And so I followed him and 5 others towards VIP. And then the line just like stopped. Like Smoke Dizza. Like, so again, it was a crowded room.
Yep.
The VIP section was also crowded.
Yeah. Joe Budden, Mall.
Yeah. So Smoke Dizza gets to the front of the line and is like getting into VIP. And then the 5 people behind him are not. And I was the 6th. And I was just like, this is stupid. Like, I'm just going to go back to where I was standing.
I think that's one thing that you and I are just very good at this point in our lives, where it's just like you weigh your options and it's like, am I really going to be like the 6th guy to be online?
Like, you just seem like so desperate. I'm just like, never. I would never. And like, I'm sorry, but VIP is not that cool. It's just more sweaty.
Right.
And so whatever. Anyway, I wish I could have seen Joe Budden. I wish I could have seen Rory. I wish I could have seen Maul. That would have been fun. But I'm cool going back to my regular spot. Yeah. So I go to the spot, which is by the door. And 2 people recognized me, and that was dope. And I really appreciated that. And so I'm standing there, and from behind, I just feel commotion, I guess.
Yeah.
And I saw this waiter who was coming down the stairs, and this tray of drinks just like flew through the air and hit me all down the back of my pants. Like just
worst case scenario.
Well, worst case scenario is that you like get shot. But like the second worst scenario, I guess, is that the drinks were gasoline and that they lit on fire.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm just like, who am I gonna like yell at the waiter or something? Like that's not me either. And so I just like looked down at my leg and I looked at the door and I walked out the door.
That was it.
You
didn't see the performances?
No. I went down there, I got a tray of drinks spilled on me, and then I left. And so
you were there for a total of
13 minutes, maybe total.
Damn.
And so
that's a long, wet ride home.
Yeah, not great.
Local train.
And so I get home on the local, and I go to our old supermarket because it's 24 hours, and I was just like, the guy who works there, Chris, was just like, yo, like that's a dope jacket. I'm like, I just got spilled on.
Yeah. So
and then
not a great night.
No. And so I wake up the next morning and I searched It's The Real on Twitter because I'm vain.
Yeah.
And somebody wrote like at 7:30 in the morning, like Jeff from It's The Real got an entire tray of drinks spilled on him and was heated. And so I retweeted and I said, an entire tray.
Yeah. Facts.
Well,
otherwise,
great week.
Great week.
Even that, like, let's be honest, it's not like that, like, killed all my.
No. And you know what? You'll go back to SOBs and pretend like it never happened.
No, I'm going to tell every single person. Last time I was here, you'll never believe what happened to me. Where's the waiter? Find him.
Jeff, today on the podcast,
we have the waiter who spilled an entire tray of drinks on me.
Is that right?
Harrison Remler,
Logic's manager. Shout out to one third of Visionary Music Group.
Yeah, let's say that. It's Logic and Chris and him.
He's the COO of Visionary Music Group, one of Logic's main dudes, Harrison Remler, who is a extremely accomplished person.
And an extremely young person.
At age 26.
Yeah.
He's a 30 under 30. He's done tour managing. He's done a lot of marketing plans. He's done deals that he couldn't even imagine. Okay.
Yeah.
He's a young man with a long resume at this point, and we talk about those things today, whether it's dealing with a Viacom or a Def Jam or
a Rubik's.
But he has been super instrumental in Logic's career over the past 7 years. And to get to this point as a human being and as a manager is fascinating. And we talked about all that stuff today. These 2 guys from Westchester and this one gentleman
from Long Island,
from the North Shore of Long Island.
Long Island.
There's a lot of Westchester and Long Island talk today.
There could have been way more. like we really could have gone into it where it's like, okay, like, do you know Tanya Kessler?
But so Harrison was highly recommended to us by our great friends, Justin Fleischer,
the Fleisch,
and Alex Chichimaro,
the bald god. And
he lived up to the hype. Shout out to Harrison. Shout out to all you Logic fans out there. And shout out to everybody who likes these behind-the-scenes stories because everyone's journey is different. Everyone has put in a lot of work, and Harrison is no different in that respect, but way different in terms of just how he made it to this point, and we were super glad to sit down with him.
Yeah, also Jeff, very likable.
And
very tall.
Very tall. Another thing that...
Not taller than me, but tall.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Another thing that people like a lot, as you know, are the 3 episodes that you want to recommend.
I sure do, and it's nice that we always think of this before.
A lot of preparation goes into this.
Reading these.
So, Jeff, you are obviously ready to go right now to tell the people which episodes you recommend they listen to if they are interested in young Harrison Remler.
Yeah, I'm not stretching this out at all. Okay, no. We are. I decided a long time ago.
Yeah.
Number 230, Josh Dick.
Shout out to Josh Dick. Another behind-the-scenes story. Another great man in this great music business. Josh Dick is
No Name.
Is a former touring agent. Is the current manager for people like ASAP 12 and the Flatbush Zombies and Macklemore, and he is just a wonderful soul, a truly funny guy. And did we mention that he was on the first episode of Making the Band?
Yeah.
Because that happened.
Amazing.
Go check out that episode with Josh Dick.
I would also say number 60, Lenny S.
Shout out to our man Lenny S. You know that's Jay-Z's right-hand guy. And
he's our left-hand guy.
He is. Lenny is awesome.
That's it.
No.
Yeah, listen to the episode.
Listen to the episode, but, the Bronx's own and Puerto Rico's own. Lenny Santiago, who is known for his photography, he's known for his A&R work, and he's known for getting things done. He now manages Fabulous, and he manages DJ Khaled, and he told a just outstanding story. I love that episode number 60, Lenny S.
All right, I'm also going to say two more.
Oh, two.
Just in quick succession. Yeah.
What?
I want to say number 165, digital marketing executive Alex Chichamaro.
What?
But I also want to follow that up with number 190, director Justin Fleischer.
What?
Yeah, shocker.
I can't believe it, Jeff. Mm-hmm. Two of our best friends, Alex Chichamaro and Justin Fleischer, two episodes that go hand in hand, two of our most hilarious episodes you're ever going to find. The Bald God and the Fleisch. Go check out those episodes right now. No explanation needed. Justin Fleischer and Alex Chichamaro.
Yeah.
Jeff, when do you want to get into this episode?
Right now.
Yo, what up? It's Eric, a.k.a. Dr. Zizmore, a.k.a. Fix Your Face.
Yo, what up? It's Jeff, a.k.a. Chasing Cloud, a.k.a. Nazi Hunters in Argentina.
What's going on? It's Harrison Remler. How are you?
Yes, your third favorite podcast to waste time with is The Real. Harrison, what's happening?
No Nazis found yet. I was in Argentina. I was literally in Argentina.
Were you really?
Yes.
Well, what were you doing down in Argentina?
Long story short, I
was hunting Nazis.
Always hunting Nazis. Always. We stay together.
That's right.
Long story short, my sister was studying abroad there,
mm-hmm.
and she fell in love with her host sister, who then became my family's third child.
Okay.
So we went down for her wedding. So I go down to Argentina, and all of a sudden I have a sister getting married that I don't even really know at a mall.
But how? What at the mall?
That's how the Argentinians get married officially, at a mall.
Really?
They have like government offices on like the third floor of the mall, like next to P.F. Chang's.
Wait, so was it catered by P.F. Chang's?
It was not catered by P.F. Chang's.
That's a real disappointment.
So you go to the mall, and then after we had like a very pleasant, normal get together lunch. Lots of white bread, so tough for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. It was fantastic.
Is the ceremony in the M&M store and like the actual?
I swear to God, it's literally at the third floor of a mall.
That's so dope. I'm so into this.
So you can either get married, you can either get divorced, you can either fight a traffic ticket, or you can either fight like a regular standard ticket, all in one.
And this was just the wedding, though.
This was just the wedding.
No divorce.
No divorce.
Okay, cool.
Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
You are, I guess, well traveled.
I'm fortunate enough. My mom did international banking for 18 years.
Wow.
And we have a house in Panama because we couldn't afford a house in the Hamptons.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same travel time, 4 hours from Newark to Panama.
It's really only 4 hours?
And from Port Washington, Long Island, to the Hamptons on a Friday is 4 hours. So we went to Panama. So for 15 years, we have a house there. And it's a whole other life. It's awesome.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so
lots of Panamanian Jews.
You're
no Nazis yet.
You're originally from Long Island.
Originally from Port Washington.
Is that the North Shore or the South Shore?
That is the North Shore.
Okay, what's growing up on the North Shore like, and do you hate the South Shore?
I wanted to actually reverse that question to you guys.
Uh-oh.
I grew up in Port Washington, New York.
Mm-hmm.
people don't really understand. It's actually a very diverse town. It's a mix of Jewish, white, massive El Salvadorian population, massive, very, very affluent part of town called Sands Point. A lot of music industry people live there. Also, we have a strong Catholic, strong Christian, major Asian population. Very, very cool place to grow up, on the water, beautiful. Do I hate the South Shore? No, because my grandma lived on the South Shore, so I can't talk bad on her.
Right.
But I do think the 5 towns should have its own currency.
Okay.
And I do think that being on the Port Washington line, the LIRR, Great Neck deserves their own line.
No, I thought that it was all kids in North Face.
Having you guys, I want to ask you, we need to describe why the difference between Long Island Jewish people, Westchester Jewish people, New York City Jewish people, and why they think of each other in certain ways.
Okay, so first of all, we talked to our friends, our mutual friends, Justin Fleischer and Alex Chamorro, the bald god, and they said that you were going to turn this around and that you were going to
flip it.
Yeah, that it was going to be the first Q&A, but it would be a Q&Q.
Yeah, I'm trying.
And here we are. The difference between Westchester Jews and Long Island Jews and New York City Jews. I think that Long Island Jews end up being the most stereotypically Jewish. I think Westchester Jews are more reserved. And I think New York City Jews,
they're like alphas.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're beyond alpha.
Yeah.
They're like, They're like when
They're
you
like
go to
Aleph.
Benihana and you only see the orange goldfish, and then you see the one shitty blue one. That's us from Long Island.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Although
They hated us. They hate us.
Well, yeah.
From Long Island.
Well,
First of all, I feel like everybody hates everybody from Long Island. I feel like Long Islanders are the most persecuted people.
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing when people say, "How are you? Where are you from?" and you say Long Island, New York. It's just scary.
Well, here's how I want to know how Jewish you are. Do you get stopped by the Orthodox Jews at the train station asking if you want to shake the lulav or something like that?
Yes, I do get.
And
do get stopped.
And
do
do you
you-
keep going?
I keep going.
Yeah,
because I am more of a traditional Jew. I am Reform, but I am not very religious in any sense. More spiritual in my.
So you don't climb in the van and shake the thing.
No, but I did have a weird moment in my life where I went to Festival of Light Matisyahu every year with my Asian friend.
Hold on.
And we would wait outside of Matisyahu's green room and wait for him to finish davening to talk to him.
You were Modest Yahoo fans? You were
I
Modest Yahoo Yahoos?
I
You and your
swear to
Asian
God, it was 7:40. I have a wild memory. It was 7:46.
Is that the Jewish year?
No, it was 7:46 time, and I had to leave for school at 8 a.m. because I lived 5 minutes from my middle school.
Yeah.
And King Without a Crown came on MTV Hits, right before school, and I knew from that moment I was obsessed.
You were like, I feel seen.
But I did go with the Chabad group.
Oh my God.
To
Now you're more
a
Jewish than
Matisyahu
us.
concert.
Yeah.
But that was
Also, you went
that's
to
really the
sleepaway
extent.
camp, which is a really Jewish thing. We
Yeah.
didn't
I
do
hated
that.
it.
We
I
went to
hated
day
it.
camp.
Got it.
Yeah. Local.
Yes.
We stayed local. We didn't do that.
Very creative day camp, from what I understand.
Yeah.
It was. It was. But wait. So were you always Harrison or Harry?
I was always Harrison. I hated Harry for a while, and then in 6th grade I got Har, Har.
Yeah.
My middle name is Abraham.
Okay.
That was intense.
So you
Yeah.
are Jewish.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am Jewish. Now it's been Harry. For some reason in the music business, it's Harry.
Did you have the LO beanbag with the 3 initials?
I
stitched
actually
on
was
there?
so embarrassed of my middle name that I switched it to T. Because I was embarrassed.
stand for
of
what?
Abraham. I don't know.
To
I
stand
just
for
thought-
hater.
I don't know. But then I moved on. Now I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah, it's awesome.
So your parents pushed you into sports.
Yes, but yeah, my dad is a sports lover. He absolutely loves sports. He grew up. He went to the same high school and was on the same high school basketball team as Ernie Grunfeld, the ultimate Jew.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
he was obsessed with basketball. He's very fit. He was really into boxing. Always sports was everything. You know,
Yeah.
basketball was really our love, and baseball I was a bit better at. For some reason, I chased it. I don't know why. I regret it a little.
Well,
But
why?
Sports are interesting when you get older, especially the collegiate level. When you put in, you don't really get out what you put in. So that being said, I felt a lot of energy I could have been putting towards my business at the time. That being said, you learn work ethic, you learn, you gain a ton of relationships, but no better days than high school basketball. That's, you know what I mean? More layup lines and staring at cute girls that'll never stare back. That's the dream.
And
My issue was I was a tweener. I was like a bruiser, but I wasn't that good of a guard, so I was like in between. but I could still play.
But there's got to be something about like camaraderie and, you know, matching up against teams and traveling and
Yep.
all that, which builds you and your character as a
Absolutely.
person, you know? I think that's what high school sports should be about.
Yeah.
But it ends up being about a lot more than that.
I'm the only prospective student athlete whose father would tell coaches the best this kid would be a relief pitcher.
Wow.
Because my dad was always like, you know, somebody else is working harder than you. Somebody else is outworking you. Somebody, when you're sleeping, they're working. So,
Well, but did that drive you to actually work harder though?
yeah, I was a freak. So I would like run sprints during my off periods at school. I would run the stairs after practice. I was nuts.
So see, I'd be worried about that in that I feel like at a certain point you'd like have like a major glitch and like would just like go off and like do all the drugs.
Yeah, I didn't do drugs. My parents, my parents were awesome. They weren't too strict, but it was a no drug household.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you?
My dad was a chef for 18 years, and I've learned a lot of things about drugs in New York culture and food.
Yeah.
Recently, but it wasn't.
Wait, where was he chefing?
He was a chef all over the city, everywhere from the Odeon to the Pierre to the Reebok
Wow.
Club, where he would. You'll love this. He would play in pickup basketball games with Tony Kukoc, Teresa Witherspoon, because they would practice there.
That's dope.
The Bulls would practice there. The Liberty would practice there. He would serve soup for Jerry Seinfeld.
Whoa.
Wait, he served soup for Jerry Seinfeld?
Yes, and he said it was just like the show. He would walk in, he'd say, "Let me get the same soup," and then Jerry would sit at the table, and then the girls would come by, and the girls would say, "Hi, Jerry," and he would say, "Hi, girls." But I guess there was like a 45-minute break where the chefs got to play on the court. So my claim to fame in middle school was that my dad was in the sauna with Shaquille O'Neal and Regis Philbin.
Holy cow.
What a threesome!
I know.
It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that.
but like, what did they talk about?
Yeah, I mean, like the other dads were like finance moguls, but my dad was, you know.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Does your dad bring that home? Like, is every meal a great meal?
He doesn't. It's a very arduous job, and it really, really drains you physically, and I think he tried to escape it a little bit.
So a lot of microwave meals.
No. He'll you know, come big holidays, he steps up.
Yeah.
You know, he the cool thing is he can put together something out of nothing, right? So when there's no food in the pantry, before you know it, we have a really cool meal.
Yeah.
But just everything's like on another level. You know, when he makes scrambled eggs, it's true perfection.
And did you learn to cook as a kid?
I didn't, because it was way too intense when he tried, because he went to the CIA, the Culinary Institute of America. So it was like literally talking about probably the closest thing I've been to a Nazi, literally, is him teaching me how to cook. So that being said, I just watched. I do love to cook now when I have time.
How committed were you in high school to
Very,
baseball?
very committed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would play on elite travel teams. This one team in the city that was cool, Bayside Yankees, where kids would come from Queens, New York City, Westchester, all over. It was awesome. We would travel. But my dad always pushed me to be he'd rather me play on the best team and be one of the kids who wouldn't get the most time than be one of the better kids on a worse team. But I was very, very committed. Yeah.
And how committed were your teammates?
They were equally as committed. I mean, some of these kids played Division I. Some of them made it to the minor leagues. Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
Were you a relief pitcher in high school?
It was really weird in high school. My freshman year, I tore my UCL in my elbow, and then in my senior year, I did as well. So,
Any reason?
I don't know. It was a common elbow injury, but so I never really got to show my stuff in high school. But in summer ball, I was really good.
What was your pitch?
I actually had a splitter, and it was filthy.
Yeah.
But baseball really was. I don't think about it much. Yeah, it's the way it transitioned into college and how it all came about with the music and Visionary and everything. It really became a last thought in my brain.
Back to the Panama thing.
Yes,
You're 10 or 9 or something like that.
12 probably.
And your parents are like, "Hey, we're gonna get a house in Panama."
Yes, like 80 minutes outside of the city.
And you say,
on the
"Okay."
beach. I said, "Okay, yeah, cool." We get a house in Panama. It's awesome. Before you know it, my mom meets like every Jewish family there. She has a million friends. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
What's there to do for a 12-year-old in 80 minutes outside of Panama City?
It's a very cool,
Or 80 miles.
Gated community, very safe in terms of pool, beach, very, very relaxing. Yeah, not a big scene at all, not over touristy. Family time. Yeah,
That's great. So, would you get into Panama City?
I've spent a lot of time in Panama City.
And
yeah.
what's the culture like down there?
It's what you would imagine, not that much I don't recommend more than a day and a half there. There's not really that much to see besides the canal and some really cool restaurants. It's busy. It's a ton of traffic. It's very, very, very hectic. So,
Yeah. So when you're watching the Panama Canal,
yes.
a boat comes in.
Yes.
They close the
bridges.
Yeah, and fill it up
The lock, sorry.
or bring it down.
Yes.
And then they open up the other ones, and away it goes.
Yes.
And that's your experience?
Literally. I've been like 1,700 times.
Wow. A man, a plan. Am I right?
A man, a plan, a canal.
Yeah.
Panama.
Yeah.
No, it's a really cool place, and I probably the coolest experience of my life when it comes to meeting a hero of yours. There's one restaurant in the beach side within like a 30-mile radius of us, and I was there with my family, and Mariano Rivera walked in.
I knew it.
With
I fucking knew it.
He walked in with 35 family members and fed them all.
Wow.
And my dad thinks Mariano is, sent from God. So,
Yeah. Well, you were supposed to be him, so,
in essence, yes.
Yeah.
He was a little better than me.
Well, I mean,
So-
you both played for the Yankees.
We did, the Bayside Yankees. His son
Yeah.
actually played for the Bayside Yankees.
Yeah. I was his camp counselor.
His son just retired,
From what?
Major League Baseball, and now he's living life.
Wow.
Wait,
Yeah, he's a Westchester kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would go to
Tough
the
name,
purchase
Mariano
community.
Rivera Jr.
Yeah.
but like okay,
The
so
nicest.
the nicest kid, Paul O'Neill, on the other hand,
did not tip well.
did not tip well, and also his kid's not that great.
Yeah.
Andy O'Neill.
Andy.
Yeah,
Andy.
Andy O'Neill.
I met Mariano. That was surreal. Yeah, very surreal because he has a weird relationship with Panama. I believe his brother or cousin unfortunately got electrocuted, and he didn't go back for a while.
Wow.
But that being said, that was surreal. That was not the first time I met him. I met him with Chris Aru, who I work with, a visionary, in Times Square.
Really?
With
Of all places.
with an artist we used to manage who was on this podcast, who's no longer part of our roster, who had no idea who he was. And Chris is the biggest Yankee fan I know, and he said, "Holy shit, that's Mo." I said, "Holy shit, that's Mo." And 42nd and 7th, and
Wow.
literally got the picture, and that was it.
Growing up in Westchester is like this. You are the camp counselor for Knicks kids, Rangers kids, and Mets and Yankees kids, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Oh,
pretty much.
and you would go out to the bars once you became of age in White Plains and run into
Mariano
Bernie
Rivera.
Williams.
Oh, Bernie Williams, right. Yeah, Bernie Williams, who would be playing like his guitar.
yeah,
He does play.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You are driven and you're focused in high school. Did you finish like towards the top of your class?
I did not. I was top. I wasn't in the top 10%, but I was a good student.
Yeah, yeah. But was there a goal in mind? You're like, I am going to go to this specific school, and I'm
I
going
wanted
to be
to
this
go to
person.
the best school that I could go to using baseball to get me there. I wanted to go to Columbia.
Here in the city.
I did want to go to Columbia in the city.
Yeah. Not the country.
Not the country.
You know,
that
you've
that
been
would have
to
been just as
Panama,
fun. I was not good enough to go there, so it ended up I went to Vassar. But the goal was, in credit to my grandpa, my mother's side, whose most important thing in his life to make sure that we had a good education was to go to the best school I could go to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just want to go to a great school. So it was like Vassar, Haverford, Swarthmore. So it ended up going
So
to
like a
Vassar.
small like liberal arts
Yep.
school,
Yep.
where you would be like the BMOC. Because
There's no such thing. What I realized,
Swarthmore doesn't have a sports team.
they do have a sports team. What I realized, but
They grade with like unicorns and like rainbows and
the
stuff.
most deceptive thing about liberal arts schools, there are no BMOCs.
Yeah.
There are
Right, because they don't have
there are
genders. and, you know.
HHIC, head hipsters in charge.
Yeah.
And then like you're in a Vassar with a massive gay population. There's the cool gays, the semi-cool gays, and then the normal.
So you went
gays.
and visited all these schools,
I did.
and what was your top two?
It came down to Vassar. I applied early, so I didn't have to really think of a second. Thank
And-
God. And you both
Yeah.
went to where again?
I went to Syracuse.
I went to Boston University, and I remember Faraz Nasir was my freshman year roommate. Shouts to Faraz. who got us-
Faraz.
yeah,
Yeah.
who's now like a zillionaire
Yeah.
somewhere.
And
but-
we're here.
Yeah. In our
Trying to keep
Manhattan
our
mansion.
lunches
Yeah.
at
That's right.
$11.95 or less.
That's right. That's
But
right.
like, yeah, Faraz, I had like a 5-minute conversation with him, maybe, and it was just like, hey, like, what's going on?
My-
Okay, like, are you bringing a mini fridge?
Yeah, my roommate Nate was from Iowa, and I was like, oh my God, he's a basketball player. He's coming. What other reason does a person from Iowa, from Northeast Iowa, make it to Syracuse, with? And He did play basketball, but he was like 5'9", 5'10", definitely not playing for the school. So, but you make all these assumptions, and then you go and live with them, and then it's like, oh, that's who you really are as a person. And we both had great roommates. Did you?
I had a cool roommate. We didn't really click as friends, but we were cool. Yeah, it was all good.
Yeah.
No need to dive further. Shout out Evan Carberry, wherever he is. He was a good dude.
But who do you become as a freshman in college?
I was really lost. Hold on, what year of Syracuse basketball did you have?
Oh, it was right before Carmelo.
So you had Hakeem Warwick.
We did.
Who else?
We had Hakeem Warwick. We had Eton Thomas.
Yep.
We had Ryan Blackwell.
Yeah.
We had Preston Shumpert. We had
Andy O'Neal.
No, we didn't have Andy O'Neal. No, we had
Jerry Mack or no?
No, he came the next year.
You didn't have what's his name? Oh my God, I hate him so much. A few years after the white guy, 23.
Oh yeah. No, we
I hate him.
Yeah.
Not Den Decker, but it's
Eric,
a last name like that.
Eric. Yeah, it is like Den Decker. Yeah. Were you a Mets fan growing up?
I was a Mets fan. I am a Mets fan.
Yes.
Yeah. Eric,
same.
Yeah, Den Decker.
Eric. I'm gonna remember it, but yeah.
You remember where were you for the catch?
Eric Devendorf.
I hated Devendorf.
Yeah.
I hated him.
What was your question?
Where were you for the catch? The Andy Chavez catch. That's like one moment in high school. I literally remember walking into the cafeteria.
Yeah, I was living at my parents'
buddy,
place.
Rich Blue, shout him out. He was wearing a Andy Chavez, the catch shirt.
Yeah.
And my buddy Louis Sampis was there. And
Yeah.
he was like saying how he didn't get home till 2 a.m. and it was crazy.
Yeah.
So that was a moment in high school.
I was at my parents' place, and our parents are we're very good travelers, and they went somewhere in Europe and were on a train with a guy from St. Louis, and they became friendly with the guy, and they would write emails to each other and everything, and when the Mets played St. Louis in the playoffs, no shout out to Carlos Beltran.
That curve.
Yeah,
remember it? How do you not swing? What are you thinking?
Panic, probably, But he took it, and our parents were like, well, Rich from St. Louis, like, good for him. I'm like, no, not good for Rich from St. Louis. Fuck him. God
How
damn.
often would you go to Shea?
We would go,
Yeah.
a couple times a year.
Yeah.
Shea was an awesome place.
Yeah.
It was an awesome place. So we just moved into a new place, and we were like, well, what do we put on the walls? And I was looking into blueprints of Shea Stadium, and you can get them online. Big, massive blueprints, and but then they also sell random ones throughout the stadium. It's just like a bathroom on the concourse level.
Oh my God. Yo, let's get that.
Please tell me you have an It's the Real block. A brown block at the new City Field.
No, we don't.
do
I know
Yeah.
like 6 families that have blocks.
Do you really?
Don Masiello, a buddy of mine from high school. The Masiello family. They
Do you
have a
go
block.
visit? It's like, yeah, my brick is over in like,
Yeah.
the parking lot.
I guess I'm sure he visits. He
Yeah.
still brings his old school scorecard to the games.
I feel like City Field doesn't really have like a culture.
It just has zero culture.
Yeah.
And
It's
so does
like-
the new Yankee.
Yeah.
Shea Stadium is
like they have like a Shake Shack.
Shea Stadium was a lawless, utopian, just do whatever the fuck you want place.
But it was our lawless utopian.
where Hasidic Jews would go and smoke cigarettes for the first time.
Yeah.
I just remember being outside.
They would
and
get down
they
there
would
in the
literally
vans.
just hover around
Yeah.
and just smoke cigarettes.
and they would ask me to shake a lulav in their van.
You just walk by. So the best thing about like when we walk past them, there's 2 of us, so we can split them.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. I deny being Jewish every time they ask me though, because I'm just like they're like, "Oh, excuse me, sir, are you Jewish?"
Right.
And I'm like, "No, I'm Italian."
That's what growing up in Westchester is like.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm Italian. We were basically Italian. We ate Italian food. We watched soccer games. We hung out with our Italian friends. We're Italian, but Jewish sensibilities.
Yeah, you make it sound like The Sopranos. We watch soccer games What are
every
you talking
Sunday
about?
night. So, when you get to college, sports is not a part of your life.
No, it is a part of my life. So I was lucky enough to play. I was on the baseball team at Vassar.
Competitive.
Division III sports is not competitive, especially at Vassar College. It's not competitive. So, yeah, you could argue collegiate athletics are competitive. I wouldn't define Division III baseball that I played competitive.
Yeah.
Wait,
I went-
Vassar's in like Poughkeepsie or
Poughkeepsie,
something.
New
Yeah.
York.
So like, what is there to do in Poughkeepsie?
Absolutely nothing. It was a town crushed by IBM. Did your dad work for IBM?
Yeah, but he
didn't.
He's not the one who shut it down.
Yeah, I know. But your dad did work for IBM.
Yeah,
He did work for IBM.
He also got fucked over by them. So
yeah.
no
Yeah.
shouts to
Yeah,
IBM.
no shouts to them.
Yeah, no shouts to IBM.
Yeah, we should just have a tally board. Carlos Beltran, IBM.
Yeah, and Rich from St. Louis.
And all the, yeah.
Went to Vassar, was way too much of a hardo in terms of like trying to work my way up the totem pole of the team. Didn't really play much my freshman year. Had, spited the coach and would show up at 6 a.m. to like outwork everyone.
Yeah.
And just was way too overzealous with it all.
Yeah.
Really got to college, thought it was like I couldn't believe people did homework. That like baffled my mind. So, and I couldn't believe people read like during the week. So I think I got my like party angst as much as you could out then. Didn't really find my key friend group until probably sophomore, junior year. Unique place, a lot of really, really interesting, cool, amazing people from all over the world. Super fortunate to have gone there. But it all changed for me. The summer of my freshman year, I had met up with a old teammate of that travel team. He went to private school. He was Catholic. And we decided to... I was working via Vassar. I met Dennis Leary's daughter.
Whoa.
And I was like, hey, can I get an internship with your dad? And she was like, sure. So I
Wait,
get this.
what is an internship with Dennis Leary?
He had a production company /
Oh, that makes sense.
management.
So it wasn't just like, hey.
No, it wasn't like go grab Dennis Leary's coffee.
Yeah.
And hang with him.
Go like, steam his leather jacket or whatever. How do you treat a leather jacket?
I don't know if it's steaming.
Feels like don't steam it.
So I got an internship for Dennis Leary's production company, and I was reading scripts for amazing aspiring filmmakers. It's a shame that I was reading the script.
Yeah, I was just gonna. So you
read
gave
these
notes.
bullshit summaries. You would have to just whatever. And I was like, oh, these guys do management. I could definitely do that, or like do something in the music business. I always want to be an entrepreneur, and I was like, music is the most accessible. I'm seeing this whole blog music scene, free music. The record business is dead. And I meet up with my buddy, and we're in my backyard one day, and we're like, yo, let's throw a concert. So
This is at home?
this is literally in my backyard in Port Washington.
Yeah.
We were the first people to really use Facebook events, but the thing was we found the 10 most cool people we knew, and we paid them to invite all their friends. There were 60,000 people invited to this concert at the Canal Room. So before you knew it, people thought that it was like the biggest thing. We had no idea what a promoter was. We had no idea what a deal was. We had no idea anything. All the acts made so much money. We made zero money. The show sold out, and there are no longer under 21 shows at the Canal Room.
So,
Wow.
Yeah. And who were the artists?
Funny you ask. So another kid from that baseball team, before I got into this, he rapped. He was from the Upper West Side. He had a group called Upper West.
Yes.
So I was like, fuck it, I want to get in the music business. And me and my buddy were like, let's manage them, whatever. So there were two kids from the Upper West Side, and one of them is a songwriter now, Jesse Fink, and the other one, Doug Glacier, is a music manager. He is very close with the whole Kid Super movement in New York. So we platformed them using the internet. They ended up hating the type of music they made, and we ended up somehow getting them bookings across colleges. I don't know how. So they were on the show. Skizzy Mars was on the show.
Wow.
Cam Meekins, and a Northeast band called AIR, AER.
Yeah.
So this was me finding people online and offering them the show where I said you were going to get X% of the profits. So AIR walked away with like $2,500.
Wow.
My guys walked away with like 1,000. Skizzy Mars 1,000.
Wow.
Cam Meekins, $2,500. He was a headliner.
Yeah.
I walked away with nothing. And that spiraled into meeting Chris sort of around the same time. My ex-girlfriend at the time, her prom was looking for a performer. So I had reached out to Chris just while I was networking and sort of building this quote-unquote company that promoted shows. I was trying to get one of his artists on the show, and I was able to get his artist paid $5,000 to perform at the Manhasset High School prom. Oh my God. So that's when we started. And
wait, what was the theme for the prom?
It was called like a frolic. I don't know. What was the theme? I don't know what the theme was. I know that they did have Sammy Adams one year, and then
Oh my God.
they had Taya Ali, who we used to manage at Visionary.
Do a lot of people get booked for proms? We didn't get anybody.
Yeah. We had a DJ.
No, I think it was like a weird Manhasset. They had a lot of money, so they booked people.
Yeah.
But good for Chris. He got $5,000.
Sure.
Yeah, that was huge for him.
Yeah.
That was huge for Tay at the time.
Yo, by the way, I will perform at Manhasset High School for $5,000.
Yes. Yeah.
So if anybody from Manhasset High School is listening,
Bookings in bio. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how involved my ex-girlfriend's mom is in the booking system now.
is she listening?
I really hope she's not listening, and I hope the best for her.
So do you go into that Canal Room show knowing like how much possibly you could get for these artists and how much you would not walk away with?
Zero idea. All I knew is that I was put together. I didn't want to be a promoter my whole life. I didn't want to be in the club scene. I just was really, really serious about it. The show Crutches, Joe, who I worked with on the show, the kid from the Catholic private school, I was like, yo, man, we should do this thing full time. We should rock out while we're in college. He went to Trinity College. I went to Vassar.
Trinity in Connecticut.
Yes, correct. And I ended up taking it way more seriously than him. And I was like, my end goal was to get in with a artist and a manager who had a real vision and worked their asses off and I could attach to and literally work for free for or intern. So
Dennis Leary.
Dennis Leary. Yeah, you missed Dennis. So every other weekend I would throw shows at private prep schools when I was in college. So I would literally take the train down. I knew one guy with a audio system. His name was DJ Vinny Bags. He ran a pizzeria in Mineola. I knew him because he was best friends with the star of our CYO basketball team, Dylan Sinnickson. Shout out Dylan Sinnickson wherever in the world.
That is the most Long Island thing. Yo, Vinny Bags from
literally.
Mineola.
Well, we would show up with Vinny Bags and literally his assistant / hype man Scribbles, and then I would pull up with these two Jewish kids from the Upper West Side who like literally wanted the red carpet.
Yeah.
And they would be like, man, we can't roll with Scribbles. I was like, we got no sound if we got no Scribbles, so fucking pick or choose. So I created this fake agency more or less, and it was smart to my own credit. I knew these kids had money. I knew these schools had money. I knew they lived on the internet. I knew they loved all these blog artists. It was a really cool moment in sort of blog music era. And that being said, I would call the schools, figure out who the head of activities was. And I would say, hey, how much money do you have for a concert? I just threw one at Choate Rosemary Hall. Give them a shout, see how it went. And I would get it done. So it was wild, man. I must have thrown 30 events while I was in college, from like a sophomore to a junior. So I didn't really have any friends from college because of that.
Well, how smart do you get within that process? Like, are you like way better at 20 shows in than you were at like 10 shows?
Yeah, but it was more about just networking with artists. So I was constantly throwing Chris opportunities for Logic and Taib at the time. Ironically, I put them on their first show together, which was a big moment at Vassar, but I had my own show at Avon Old Farms. Where
you were double booked?
I was double booked, where the artist got booed off, but then it turned into, but DJ Vinny Bags saved the day.
Yo, shouts out Vinny Bags.
Dude, Vinny Bags is my fucking guy. Vinny Bags, he saved the day because he ended up just turning into like a huge dance. So like 6,000 kids loved it. So I was constantly throwing these guys opportunities, and I remember exactly where I was. I was actually at Choate when doing a show with Taib, and Chris had hit me on Facebook message saying, hey man, really respect what you're doing. Would you want to intern for me? And I literally picked up the phone. I called him. I was like, yo, I'll wipe the floor. Like, this is, you're like, to me, my idols at that time were, Benji and Rostrum, Will and Taylor Gang. And I saw what Chris was building, and I really, really respected it. And he was a really professional, young, mature entrepreneur. And it literally came full circle. Yeah, so and I never took any money when I was doing these shows. I would take care of everyone. So for some reason, Vinny Bags was staying at like literally the Four Seasons of Waterbury, Connecticut, and had like a $50 buyout because I just wanted to take care of whoever came and helped. And it was the long game. I wasn't trying to make whatever. Sometimes I guess I would charge shit to my LLC card at the college bar. I guess that was cool, but otherwise, no. I was paying everyone whatever I had. They got paid in full before the show started. They got paid in check or cash, whatever they wanted. So life was good.
So you didn't even think that you could do this on your own as a solo thing. You wanted to help out on Visionary.
I could have followed the path of being a concert promoter, but I knew that's what I didn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I wanted to be, as cliche as it sounds, always part of something bigger than myself. And Visionary was the first thing that it was like, wow, Logic is really the...
To be fair, religion was the first thing.
You could argue.
When was the first time you actually heard Logic?
Well, I met Chris via Tayyib Ali, who was an artist we used to work with.
From Philly?
From North Philly, from a really terrible, terrible situation in North Philly. He was really buzzing. He was like one of the first posts on that blog, The Song Is Sick. And he was having a really cool moment. And then I heard Logic via his Facebook page. We used to like cross promote. They used to cross promote.
And this is like 20...
This is sophomore year, so 2012. It all really started in May of 2012. So I was throwing those shows, say 2011, 2012, and then Chris asked me for an internship. I was like, obviously, I'd do anything for you guys. And then he goes, okay, we'll start. I left school May 24th, maybe. He was like, okay, come over to we're going to go to the public library. He worked out of his house. We went to the public library in Port Washington. And he was like, yo, Logic's going on tour. You need to tour manage. I was like, sweet. But then I told my mom, and she was like, "You're getting your tonsils out. You're gonna die if you go on the road." So then Chris had to convince
Jewish mother.
Yeah, obviously Jewish mother.
Yeah,
so she had to convince Chris had to convince my mom to let me go. So
with the chance that you could have died.
Yeah, I really was gonna die because of my tonsils.
Yeah.
But to my credit, I was knocked out from the surgery, and I was still like helping book all the hotels and shit while Chris was holding it down the first few dates. So I fly to Dallas, and I am 19 years old, tour managing for Logic on a sold-out tour.
Yeah, let's put this into perspective. What projects has Logic put out to that
Logic
point?
has put out 2 mixtapes.
Okay.
So he's put out Young Sinatra and Young Sinatra Undeniable.
And what kind of venues is he booking at that point?
He's playing SOBs in New York, the Roxy in LA, and 300 to 400 capacity
I was going to say.
venues.
Yeah. Selling them out.
Yes, we were. This was the first of its kind to really, outside of like Mac and Wiz, to take free music and build these new verticals of business.
Yeah. So you had not met Logic to that point.
We had met. I actually booked him at his first show at Club Europa in Brooklyn, which is a bizarre club in Greenpoint. Maybe there were like 50 people there. I was helping some kid put the show on, and I was like, let's throw Logic on, $500. And then he headlined the Barclays Center, shouted me out, and said his guarantee was a lot bigger. So we had met a few times. He has an incredible memory, so I think he remembers meeting me. But I fly to Dallas, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm going on tour. This is going to be fucking crazy. I'm going to meet girls. It's going to be insane. I walk in, and he's like, hey, man, here are the rules. This is my business. We're here to fucking build this shit. Like, no girls on the tour bus. He had a ton of rules, and I respected it. It was his name. It was his money on the line. And we started to hit the ground. But I was so young that I couldn't even go backstage at a lot of the venues.
Whoa, wait.
Because the House of Blues has a rule you can't be under 21 and backstage. So I would have to settle the shows on the front side.
So you didn't have like a fake... I guess like that would be against the rules.
And that also
Exactly.
wouldn't make
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
So you're 19, you're tour managing, you have to...
Everything. Except for book the shows, I did everything.
What all goes into becoming a tour manager at that level?
Everything goes into it. I mean, you do everything from literally waking the guys up and make sure they get to the next city, to settling all the shows, to advancing with all the promoters, to all of the equipment you need to rent, everything. I mean, it was more
press.
just like, to be honest, it was really just surviving day to day.
Yeah,
that was the biggest challenge for me. It was like, I don't know how the fuck we're going to get through today, but we just did. And it really went flawless. We had an idiotic accounting system where we would take manila folders and put the money in from the show. So like, let's say Denver, $6,000. Because none of the promoters believed in us, so they gave us these versus deals. So normally you would go on tour, you would get a $500 guarantee. And do you book your own shows? When you guys go out?
Yeah.
Where'd you play in Austin?
What we did a South by Southwest show in
Oh
Austin.
yeah, what's the well? I mean, Atlantic hired us for that show. That was at Stubbs.
Got
so
it. Stubbs my favorite venue.
4,000 people out there.
Matisyahu live at Matisyahu live at Stubbs.
Stubbs. Yeah.
The greatest Jewish album of all time.
You just sounded like Nardwar.
Nardwar, yeah.
I know. Sorry, I'm in my bag now.
You are
so,
Jeff.
I did meeting Nardwar was
Rosenthal.
fucking wild. That was
yes,
that was
agreed.
wild.
Agreed,
so that
agreed.
was that first.
Did he
tour.
know everything about you?
He knew nothing about me.
That's
he
what
was,
you think,
he was
by the way.
very fast.
He might
on
have been
email.
like, yeah.
Let's go back to what the question was. What was?
Well, you have an idiotic system towards
the
keeping your
manila
money.
folder. So we would say, so we would make 6,000 in Denver. We would put it in the folder, and then Tayyib would be like, "Yo, I need weed money." So he would take 200 out. We would write 200 minus Tayyib weed.
Yeah.
Or Logic would be like, "Yo, I need cash." So we would do 1,000, whatever. Logic
Yeah.
1,000. We would put them all in my backpack, and then my backpack would sit in the green rooms. So I had like
Minus you?
$100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been stolen at any time. It
You're
was wild.
19. You have a backpack full of $100,000 and all the weight on your shoulders.
Literally.
Yeah, all the weight was on your shoulders.
Literally. And it was awesome. It was life-changing. It was super, super difficult. And it was Chris's philosophy was sink or swim. So I swam.
Was Chris also on tour?
He left right when I got to Dallas. So because the business was getting to the point where he had to sort of be in front of the computer and really be on the phones and work.
Who else were the main people at that point?
That was just, I was employee number 2.
But on the road.
On the road, it was Logic. It was his now producer, Six, who was his DJ.
Yep.
It was a kid named Sladro, who is back in the picture now, who's one of the nicest guys ever. It was Tayyib. It was his DJ Jansen, who had this wild haircut. It was one of those...
Asymmetrical.
Yeah, it was like vertical. It was fucking nuts. I don't really fuck with Jansen. He always pissed me off, but he's a good kid.
You look like the Slim Jim guy.
Yeah, he just fucked up my flow. He was always late. Who else was on the road? We had a video guy named Orlando. He was Gravity, who shot all of Logic's videos, and he wore a mask everywhere, which was awesome. Pre-Marshmallow.
Yeah. But post Slowdown from those St. Lunatics.
Correct.
Shout to Faraz Nasir.
And
And Rich from
that was the squad. So we had a green minivan, and then we had a white Nissan. And then as we got to the East Coast, all the Maryland homies just jumped on.
I
so
bet.
like literally driving to SOBs, I remembered passing Chelsea Piers and being like, this is the craziest moment of our lives, but also looking in the back of the car and there's like 17 dudes.
So are you, in essence, a camp counselor?
You're a camp counselor, but also they're grown men. They know. Logic was very, very, very focused, tunnel vision. So he knew what he wanted and he led by example. So everyone was focused, but I was a camp gatherer.
Yeah.
I think really gathering was the key.
So is he Sir Robert or is he Logic?
At the time, he's...
Or Bobby?
It's Bobby now. Yeah, it was Bobby. I call him Ralph sometimes, piss him off. And then I went through this weird phase when I only talked to him in his lyrics. That would piss him off too. But no, it's Bob. Now, Chris really coined Bob, and then Bobby now.
Yeah.
When was your first time seeing Logic solve a Rubik's Cube?
My first time seeing Logic solve a Rubik's Cube. I don't know the first time I saw him, but the most momentous time was when we did Jimmy Kimmel for the first time, and I was advancing. So I was the one advancing Jimmy Kimmel because we had no tour manager at the time. And there are 2 stages at Jimmy Kimmel. There's the outdoor stage and the indoor stage.
Yeah.
And this is right when we signed to Def Jam, and I was gung-ho about playing the outdoor stage. And Chris was like, okay, Harry, I trust you. We're going to play the outdoor sage. Gabe Tesoriero, who I'm sure you both know,
Yep.
the legend
Love
of
him.
that's
Yeah.
my big brother, my dad. I remember exactly where I was. So we were in Chris's basement where we were working out of the time. There were 2 couches. I sat on one, he sat on the other couch. And he goes, yo, you fucked up. And I'm freaking out. I was like, what? Okay, what did I do? He goes, you booked the outdoor stage. Do you know how many fucking people it is? And I was like, yeah, he's going to do it. Don't worry. It ended up, it was 2,000 people, the capacity. So he's like, we got to get on the phone with Gabe. We got to get on the phone with Gabe and fix this. Get on the phone with Gabe. And it's funny looking back on it. We always joke. I must have made a comment to Gabe like, have you ever done live TV before?
Oh, God.
And that's like saying to like, MJ, do you play basketball?
Right.
So that that ended up working out really nicely. We sold out the admission in 24 hours.
Wow.
So
How much of a lead time is there for the thing?
you get 5 days.
Okay.
I knew we were going to do it. It was a really cool moment. That being said, it was our first time with a live band. I never advanced the live band. I just figured it out somehow. Our now tour manager played drums at the time.
Wow.
Because he was our merch manager. And Logic crushed it. But that was really the start of the Rubik's Cube, I feel like, because I just remember him showing all the security guards the Rubik's Cube and just like not wanting to talk to anyone besides just solving the Rubik's Cube. But I've seen it so many times now. It's amazing.
Wait, has he taught you how to do it?
No, he's not that type of person. There were a lot.
magician never tells.
There are always cubes available.
Sure.
But it's for you to learn yourself.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
What?
Hold on.
Hey,
Guys, guess what?
announcement?
Announcement time.
What's going on, Jeff?
We still have a newsletter.
Wow.
Yeah. People thought that we would have given it up, but apparently we are still going, and we are still going strong.
Yeah, now's the time to sign up.
Sign up for that newsletter at itsthereal.com.
Okay, it's a one-step process, or maybe two-step process.
Yeah, first name, last name, email. Oh, I guess it's 3 steps.
I was going to say go to itsthereal.com.
That's 1 step.
Enter your information.
This is a lot of steps because if you really break it down,
Yeah.
it's like 5 steps.
Right.
Go to itsthereal.com.
Yeah.
Put in your first name.
Yeah.
Put in your last name.
Right.
Put in your email.
Yeah.
Press the button,
Yeah, that's where it gets complex.
and then you have to buy something at itsthereal.com/shop.
I think that's a great idea. You know why? Because we have these amazing mugs.
How amazing are they, Eric?
Jeff, you can do so many things with them.
Yep, you can wear it as a hat. You can wear it as a button. You can wear it as a. You can play croquet with
They're
it.
called mean mugs. It says mean mug on it.
Yep,
There's a guy making a mean mug on the back.
yep.
They're really funny.
They're really funny.
I think you should get them. So does
Well,
Jeff.
you want to know what? If you think that people should get them,
Yeah.
then maybe people should get them.
I think so. It's thereal.com/shops where you go do that. It's thereal.com is where you sign up for the newsletter. Go do both. And now back to Harrison Remler.
Has Rubik's ever reached out to sponsor him in any way?
They have. I've had conversations with Rubik's. I had to clear. We did actually Justin directed and shot it, the Everybody documentary that Chris and I had the audacious idea of partnering with iTunes at the time to release it as a deluxe version because, as you know, back in the day, the deluxe version was equally as valuable as the regular because of the things that the deluxe had. Was it custom art? Was it certain liners? Whatever. How do we get people to buy deluxe albums in an age where they don't buy physical albums?
Right.
We add a documentary to iTunes. iTunes, despite with what I thought was a very clunky system at the time, because in transition between streaming, so we go to iTunes and we say, hey, we have this documentary. They say, great, we'll figure out how to put it up. But then Def Jam Legal says you have to get consent for every single logo, person, sound, and location. So I reverse cleared 83 people,
my
like
God.
50 logos, including Rubik's.
Oh my God.
And we got it done somehow.
What was the hardest one to clear?
The hardest part to clear was the most important. There were 2 things. The most important part, the number one, the Batman logo in the back of his studio, behind his vocal booth, which if we wouldn't have cleared that, it would have ruined the whole documentary.
Oh my God.
We had the last day. As wild as it sounds, there was somebody in the documentary who was singing Tinashe. You actually have to clear, even if she was humming Tinashe,
Yeah.
you have to clear that.
So RCA at the time.
It was beyond RCA. Tinashe had several publishing entities, so we just passed on that. We let that one go. We cut it out. And then, ironically, there was a whole thing going on with clearing Khalid's part when he was recording 1-800. So because he was live recording, so they were very precious, rightfully so, about his live recording, and it got caught up between Def Jam and RCA, and that's how I met Courtney, who manages Khalid. We became brothers through that, because I was literally just pounding him to get this clearance, because if I didn't, Logic is a man of his word and a man of his creative vision. There was no taking that part out. So that ranks up there as the second hardest clearance I've ever got. The hardest clearance, Logic reunited the Wu-Tang Clan, including Jackpot Scotty Waddy on his recent album, YSIV. Method Man interpolated himself. I had to clear the song. I don't know the lyrics off the top of my head, and I don't know the song. All I know is I had 10 hours to clear Method Man and 6 other writers because he interpolated himself. So in the 9th hour, we got it done.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Taking it back to that first tour that you were on. By the end of it, was the last show SOBs?
The last show was SOBs.
Okay,
it was
so
the pinnacle of life. Yeah.
And does that come at the end of the summer?
That comes on August 4th, I want to say.
So
Yeah.
okay, so within 20, 30 days, you're back at school.
Exactly. It was this bizarre juxtaposition.
So your summer job was a lot more exciting, possibly, than a lot of your peers.
Yes, but nobody believed in it. Nobody understood who Logic was. Kids thought I was crazy. So I went back to school, and I was like, Chris, how can I help you? And he was like, you can be my number 2, right?
Well, okay. So how committed are you to school at that point?
I start giving up.
Did you think that you were definitely going to graduate, or was it like more of a 50-50
There was one
thing?
moment when I thought I was going to drop out because Chris needed help in LA. He would go out there a lot. But what I did was I realized a lot of these kids had, 3.95, 4.0 GPAs. They couldn't get jobs. So I was like, I'm all in on this shit. Let's fucking do it. So I sort of forgave my education. I found 2 or 3 professors that really believed in me and gave me the confidence. I found 7 or 8 professors who literally told me their class on politics, law, and justice was more important than sliced bread. So I didn't really do schoolwork. I was obsessed with this job and helping in any way I could.
Did your parents understand?
They had no idea. Yeah, they had no idea.
But at a certain point, your parents do know, and I think your dad encouraged you because he found this article by Tom Friedman and like you about like how you have to create your own job. You wrote this thing for Vassar.
Yeah, I did write it. Did I write it or I was interviewed?
No, you wrote it. You did an op-ed or something. I feel like Nardwuar right now, actually, where it's just like...
Meeting Nardwuar. Wait, let's get back to
okay,
it. Meeting Nardwuar was wild. We were in Vancouver, and Logic was obsessed with Nardwuar. We were all obsessed, and Nardwuar walks in. This was on the second tour, so 2013. And he walks in, and he goes, Big Lembo. Who's Logic's best friend, and let him stay at his house for years while he was growing his career, and it was wild. We ordered Chinese food. The promoter ordered Chinese food. I remember me, Logic, and Nardwuar were eating chow mein. It was fucking wild. And Logic was very, very prepared for the interview. And Nardwuar is the most special character I've ever met. He is like watching him walk away from that venue into the distance. It's like Field of Dreams shit.
Yeah.
Have you guys met him?
Yeah.
We've met him. We've hung out with him. Yeah. He is exactly the way that he is on camera and off.
And he listens to the podcast. So shout out to Nardwuar.
That's amazing.
Shout out to Nardwuar.
Also, did you guys see that 2 Chainz was recording with Dr. Dre last week?
Yes, I did see that.
And did you see the pants that 2 Chainz was wearing?
I did not.
Straight out of Nardwuar's closet. They are like the plaid pants with like straps on them, red. It is incredible. Anyway.
So we go back to Vassar. I'm a junior at that point. I am still playing baseball. I'm going to class, but I'm not really paying attention. I'm figuring shit out. We have John Bellion at the time. I'm helping get that off the ground. I was releasing songs of Logic's in my dorm room, making them live on SoundCloud. Logic signed to Def Jam. It was announced on XXL, and I was in the school student union, and I like cheered, and there were 4 Asian girls, and nobody gave a fuck. And John Bellion was growing, which was awesome, and I would go to class, but I wouldn't really pay attention. I wouldn't do any of the reading, and I would get by. I graduated with like a B average, which was fine.
But you feel like you're part of something bigger than yourself.
Yes, I knew where it was going.
And
it was very, very scary, but I knew.
What were you majoring in anyway?
Majoring poli-sci because it was a 10-credit major, and there was no thesis. And one of my final papers I handed in, I was on tour with Logic, and we were Logic had flown with his security guard to New York for the XXL freshman shoot, where it was Trinidad action.
Yep. Yeah.
It was a great class, Travis Scott, and we were stuck driving from, I want to say like Omaha to Texas. We got stuck in a tornado. And I remember we pulled the bus over, and I finished my last college paper. There's a picture of me We all thought we were going to die, but I had to send in this paper on racial inequality in America.
Well,
so
it was
I
either
got
going to
it.
be a tornado or tonsillitis.
But yeah, so I sent the paper in, but ironically, that professor Luke Harris, who actually taught me a lot about the issues in this country about racial inequality that I use in discussions about hip hop all the time, I did a swap for him. He was obsessed with affirmative action, and he was a thought leader in that field across the country. He had a YouTube animation film, and I taught him how to put it on YouTube. In reverse, I handed in 4 pages of what should have been a 25-page essay. So shout out Luke Harris. He gave me a B-.
So you graduate from Vassar.
So junior year, I still playing baseball. This weird thing happens where the team goes to Florida for spring break, or I go to Europe with Logic to tour manage. I decide to go to Europe. Best decision of my life. We go over there. We're all dirt broke. I think Chris gave me like maybe $100 for meal money. I worked for free for Logic. I never tour managed for any money. I didn't know what a per diem was. It was wild. Logic was broke at the time too.
Wait, you didn't know what per diem?
We all believe
You were handing out per diem.
No, we weren't. We were all believing in what we were doing. So we were all working for free. A lot of us.
Well, so what was the 100,000 in the backpack like going towards?
Paying for the tour. I mean, you got to pay for the cars, the fuel, the insurance, everything.
Hotels.
Hotels. Yeah. Obviously, Logic and Taib made some money, but there were tons of expenses. And where were we?
In Europe.
We were in Europe. Best decision I ever made. We land in Europe. I remember Logic he was dirt broke at the time. Chris had wired him some money. It was like in between the mixtapes and the debut album, so it was weird. We really didn't have income coming in. It was sort of show by show. And we traveled by train, we traveled by EasyJet, and we did this thing, man. We did London. We didn't make it to Paris. There was a snowstorm, but we always say it was the greatest show of all time. We did Amsterdam. We did Belgium. We did a festival in Switzerland, in the mountains where Redman and Method Man were in the bathroom the same time I was.
Wow.
And I think Redman pissed it. There was 2 urinals. I got a urinal. Method Man got a urinal, and Redman pissed in the shower. And then I remember Cypress Hill was performing, and they gave us so much weed that we couldn't even imagine. And because for some reason they were getting chased down by the cops because they were in another country where you couldn't smoke weed, so they gave it all to us.
Which seems like a bad idea for you to accept it.
I didn't accept it. There was another guy in the crew who was the weed guy, and
now he's in jail.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what. Shout out Peru. I don't know where he is.
Yeah, I think I
Dan
just
Crusader.
answered the question.
I don't think he's in jail, but he's somewhere. He was handling that.
You say his name is Peru? Peru, Colombia.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to Peru, where we do have a very loyal listener.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Shout out to that
What's
one
his name?
listener.
Shout out.
Yeah.
So you're doing Europe.
So Europe, yeah. So my baseball team is in Florida. Not my baseball. The Vassar College Brewers are competing in Florida.
Yeah,
How quickly you disown them.
I know.
Sorry, I apologize.
You fought for that leadership.
I'm in Europe, and we crush it. I remember the London show was a massive, massive moment for Logic. He was very, very appreciative of that moment. For the first time ever, he told a fan that he had signed to Def Jam, and we have dear friends who are in our like inner circle of fans now that we met that day that are still fans of ours, that are still fans of Logic's, but really good friends of all of ours. Pete and Katie. Kate, she's actually expecting, so mazel tov.
Oh, congratulations.
She's an amazing artist, an amazing friend, and been there for Logic since day one. Because we had signed in 2012, but we didn't announce till 2013, so we had kept it under wraps.
Yeah, what is it like to sit on that for so long?
It was intense. Yeah, but we wanted to wait. We wanted the momentum of the cover, and we wanted the momentum of the right people on the press release. No idea at the time, and it was a huge thing. Logic was building an independent fan base, so the thought of signing to a major label was really a moment back then, much more than it is today. That being said, we were really quiet about it. Yeah, there were only a few of us that knew, and when the moment came, we announced right after we got the XXL freshman cover. So everyone thought that Def Jam signed this hot new kid Logic, despite a ton of people on the internet saying, "Who's Logic on the cover?"
Yeah.
But we had been signed since 2012. And
what was the first thing that Def Jam did for you guys that like you felt like, okay, now we have this machine behind us?
It was a very, very, very unique start because you have to remember. Let's just finish the Europe thing. So I go to Europe. I'm tour managing. Amazing experience. I literally learned on the move. I didn't even get an international cell package. It was so backwards, but we got it all done. We crushed it. Everyone got everywhere safely. Everyone got home safe. And I literally took the train back to Poughkeepsie and like had to go to a baseball workout and like do a 115 power clean because I can't lift weights.
Right.
Then the coach was like, "You're not really gonna." Obviously, he wasn't gonna play me, rightfully so, because I in his eyes, I disrespected the team. And then that was when I started to really become close with all my guys on the team. So they were starting to support me a little bit. That being said, I started to really fall out of love with baseball then. So we actually somehow we made it to the playoffs for the first time in Vassar baseball college history.
Wow.
But it was very, very, very
On your back.
yeah, despite not pitching an inning in the playoffs, it was very pressure filled for me because I had to go on tour on May 21st. And if we would have won one more game, we would have had to play on May 21st.
Oh.
So you were rooting against your team?
I'll admit now I was rooting against the team. I'm sorry, but it was for the right reason. So thankfully I rooted against my team. We lost. Dude, you have to understand. I would literally go out of we would do double headers. I would escape to call Chris, check in on like, hey, did we get the tour bus locked in? Did we do this? What else?
Yeah.
I was his assistant at the time. I would sneak my phone. It was crazy shit, man.
If you were to compare yourself to a movie figure, a baseball player, like who would you say it was?
I was
Pete Rose.
No, I'm not to be in conversation.
Well, I was gonna say like I get the feeling of Tom Hanks in League of Their Own, just like somebody who's just like so checked out.
Yeah, I was beyond checked out. It was wild. And then I was very furious. At one point, the coach would tell me, hey, you're going to start this week. And my dad took off his job. Post-cooking, he works in construction for a big firm. And it was a big deal for him to take off his job.
Yeah.
He had to take a day off. And I remember he came, and I didn't pitch, and it really, really hurt
That's a
me.
bummer.
Yeah, it really, really hurt me. It was a turning point. So I stopped playing baseball May 20th, and then we met I remember Trinidad James came to the show in Atlanta on May 21st.
Wow.
That was a major moment. All
Yeah.
gold, everything. That was awesome.
Fellow Def Jam.
So yeah, we
artist
can
at the time.
transition into Def Jam. So Logic was signed. We were building this incredible fan base, but we didn't understand, to our own fault, what educating a building meant. So while we were building this, while we had sold out shows at Irving Plaza, sold out shows at the House of Blues in LA, nobody at the label really understood. And we have this great album, Under Pressure, his debut album, through the label in October of 2014, and they massively undership us. And why does shipping even matter for a fan base like Logic's? They want everything. They want to hold it. These kids, they need everything. This was a moment for them. So territories were literally selling out, and one girl could go to the mall in Long Island. She bought out the whole territory of Long Island.
Well, I mean, but that's because of you and your fan base.
Actually, my grandma and grandpa went to buy the album at
that's
Best Buy
awesome.
in Riverhead. They couldn't find it. But then I would screenshot that and send it to Pat Monaco, my guy, who was handling sales. And I was like, Pat, you fucked up, bro.
My grandparents are out there,
So,
But you hadn't glad-handed like Pat at that point, I'm guessing, right? Is that what this all?
Say it once more.
Meaning that like you hadn't gone around the building and been like, hey, like this is who
There
we
was
are.
a massive miseducation. They were like, he's not in the clubs. He's not, he wasn't your stereotypical Rick Ross, Chains, Jeezy. You know what I mean? He wasn't hanging with Peck at the 40-40. And he wasn't.
Which, by the way, would be an incredible.
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah.
Logic and Sean Pecos would be the best thing ever.
No, they would kick it off. They would hit it off now.
Yeah.
But you have to move the building. You have to.
Yeah, we didn't move the building, and our A&R was Logic was signed by No ID, and this kid named Noah Preston at the time, who's a good friend of ours now.
Yeah.
I think he was also finding himself in his place. So Logic comes out, he does 75,000 albums, which we should have done 100,000. It was a massive, massive disappointment to us. It was really,
But 75
really hard.
is nothing to sniff at.
100,000, we would have
Yeah,
had.
it would've been
We would have had
better.
100,000. We would have
Yeah.
beat TI.
Yeah.
So we do we crush that, and then we keep building. And come the sophomore album, it all starts to click. That's when we feel the machine. We don't catch a radio record, but we do this incredible marketing idea that Chris and I came up with, where Logic visited fans at their houses and played them the album, covered by the Wall Street Journal, Forbes. But more importantly, it really showed the building who Logic was, and the album was challenging to market. It was a space odyssey about his travel to paradise, his planet paradise, and but we creatively.
I'm sold.
Yeah, it was actually The Incredible True Story and Transformation of the Man Who Saved the World. That's the full title of the album, but The Incredible True Story is what we went with. And we first rapper to ever have his own signing and meet and greet at Comic-Con, which was awesome. So we tapped into this nerd culture, and we were like, man, embrace yourself. You're doing the Rubik's Cube, let's do it on Jimmy Fallon. So we had a massive gaming influencer sit in the crowd and give Logic a Rubik's Cube on Jimmy Fallon, which was a moment. And we were like, man, just embrace yourself. Don't chase after hip hop or anything you don't want to be.
So who are you at that point?
Who am I?
Yeah,
I'm still Harrison.
No, but like
I am.
That's an R word.
I am.
Who are you?
October 2014. I'm graduated. I had graduated college.
Yeah.
I was working with Chris as the number 2 employee.
So you're getting paid now?
Yeah, I'm getting paid.
Living in Long Island?
Living in Long Island. He was in Long Island as well. We worked at his house, the basement, the trap house, man. His parents were the best. They supported us so much. My parents at that point understood it. And I was the number 2, so everything. I was everything, assistant. We don't really believe in the day-to-day role. We don't believe in like somebody does marketing. We just all hands on deck. Our best employee is Bam by any means.
So in that independent space where you guys are working out of a basement, where you guys are, no matter whether you're signed to a giant label or whether you have representation to get you booked wherever you want in the world, you're operating like you have no help, and it's just you guys.
Yeah, but we're operating like we're the full-fledged managing, in our minds, a superstar.
And it still felt like that in that basement.
Absolutely, yeah. We took it just as serious, and we were managing. John Bellion was growing at the time, and he was the first artist to ever take the hip-hop model and do it with pop. So we put out pop mixtapes. So I think really the only person who could have done it was Mike Posner, because the moment he was having, but we literally did the same thing we did with Logic, and we replicated with Bellion because he wrote, produced, and everything was 100% him. So he was building at the same time. He did the exact same tour as Logic did. He played SOBs. On my train ride back from SOBs, after I had to leave his show right after because I had to pass a Russian test, and I watched Anna Karenina on the Hudson line of Metro North, and I got a 66 on the test.
Congratulations.
And I cheated off my good friend Andrew Bloom, who I hope I will send him to this, and I cheated off him, and I appreciate him, and I'm forever in debt to him.
Wait, does he not know that you cheated off him?
Oh, he knows.
Okay, yeah. But now it's on record.
Wait, but how did he do?
Oh, he got a 98. Yeah, he's a legend.
So you're not a very good cheater.
No, because I was petrified. I was like, I can't go from getting D's to getting
in
100. So let's just squeeze across. So I did that. So it was this weird juxtaposition, man. John Bellion sold out SOBs. It was like, what pop kid does that now? I got to get on a fucking 2:30 train to Poughkeepsie with a stopover in Croton Harmon. Like literally, think of anything more depressing.
Right.
I cannot.
Yeah. So we put the sophomore album is when it really clicks for Logic. We have an amazing core team at Def Jam at that time. Faisal Durrani, Steve Bartles, Dave Bell. was our main 3 guys, and they were phenomenal. They really embraced Logic, and they really, really got behind it. We sold 135,000 albums first week. We started this whole D2C trend. We literally reinvented it.
Yeah.
And
why do you say that?
Nobody was looking at it the way we were looking at it. The way we priced our items was very, very unique. It was very, very affordable. The way we rolled it out was very, very strategic. We sold 100,000 D2C albums on Everybody, his biggest album to date. So, and obviously you see everything going on with Travis and Nicki.
I was going to say, I mean, the Everybody sweatshirts were a big deal.
Yeah, we sold 38,000 of them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you feel the momentum.
Yeah, we feel the momentum.
It feels bigger than
feels bigger.
the 75,000.
Yes. At that point, we're doing Terminal 5. We're doing the Wiltern in LA, maybe the Palladium.
So these are like double the size.
Yeah,
triple the
it's
size.
all happening.
Yeah.
We put out Bobby Tarantino, the mixtape. Then he goes on a co-headline tour with G-Eazy in amphitheaters across the country with YG and Yo Gotti.
Big.
What a lineup.
Yeah.
What an iconic lineup.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, like a very bizarre lineup,
Yeah.
right? Like it's like one of every.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Hard ticket sales
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
And you're doing that across the country.
Yeah.
So are you back on road?
No, at that point, probably 2 tours before, Chris was like, you can either work with me or be a tour manager. I was like, I'd rather work with you. So our merch guy at the time was a road vet, and we believed in him, and he's still our tour manager, John Momberg. Awesome guy. Super passionate. So I'm managing the operation with Chris from the sidelines, and we start finding our cadence. He's really the creative marketing, 30,000 feet, and I'm straight logistics. So what does that mean? At the time, at that point, it was like overseeing the touring, overseeing just the day-to-day, overseeing, turning in the record, all that, and then it turns into, Logic and Chris want to put 100 suicide survivors on stage at the VMAs. Harrison, get it done. We need 250 Latin immigrants. Get it done.
How do you find 100 suicide survivors?
We partnered with the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. So that being said, we had the contacts across the country, but it was very, very, very fragile because these people were real, authentic survivors or trauma survivors, and we had to treat them as if they were. I called Viacom. I said, you have to treat them like they're Katy Perry.
Yeah.
You can't take for granted how emotional what they're going to go through. And obviously that moment he had at the VMAs was career changing for him, and really one of the coolest, the most incredible thing I've been a part of.
I mean, how gratifying, like all that. Like,
the goal was to save one life. And to be honest, we were, the day the song came out, it was the number 2 most volume calls to the Lifeline, and then the day of the VMAs, I think it was number 1.
Wow.
The record came from a super, super pure place, and it was a crazy journey, man, to get a song that starts with I Want to Die and number 1 at pop radio, which is crazy.
How do you find your gut level to be able to have conversations with a Viacom, with a Def Jam, with and I don't even know what other big companies you've spoken with.
Rubik's.
But honestly, to clear whatever you have to clear.
No, the most important conversation
Yes.
is Rubik's
But
all time.
But how do you find your voice in all of that and be able to?
I struggled with it a lot in the beginning, to be honest. I'm an email rat, so I like to email, and Chris is a phone guy, and my communication skills, just because I was younger and I think pretty insecure. I battled with like bad insecurity and confidence issues. You learn by doing, right? We really have no other option. And if you can get a lot of things done if you're really empathetic, right? So I've always been good at the person on the other side of the line. I know them before I meet them, and they know me before they meet me. For some reason, I just have that trait where I can build a bond. So when I met these trauma survivors, it was like I'd spoken to them 17 times over the past 5 days. I knew everything about them, right? It was like, oh, Shari, oh my God, how's your daughter, or whatever, And then we just treat people with like extreme kindness on the artist relations side at Viacom, or the legal side at Def Jam. They're some of my best friends, because a lot of things we did were so innovative. There were no processes in place for it.
And how do you not worry about how your artist, who is so unique, compares to other artists who may be more traditional?
We weren't focused on anyone else. We were building what we always dreamed of. I mean, Kid Cudi was my favorite artist growing up, and he had this niche, massively niche fan base, right? And I noticed we actually supported him. And then Surreal, we played the same venues on our own and outsold him, which was a massive moment for us. Just me and Logic, we were talking about it. And we were so focused on building that base that nothing else mattered. So I wasn't really focused on the Trinidad James of the world. They were having the one-hit wonders, and everybody signing MMG was a huge moment at that point. So I was obsessed with just helping double down on this base, to get us to the Garden. That was the goal.
One of the things that made me sort of understand Logic the best was the Netflix documentary. What was your part in all of that? How did that all come together?
Sure. So we People really discovered him through that. It's either they discovered him through that, the 1-800 song, or they're a pure fan. The documentary is amazing. He was going through a really, really, really difficult time in his life, obviously, as you watch it. The way we work is I'll usually take the first 2 or 3 phone calls with potential partners, then I'll pull Chris in if I think it's a good opportunity. We did that, and then despite them having a production crew, really it was on us to execute and produce it. So I worked hand in hand with Peter from Mass Appeal and Ben Selko, who was like the lead creative at the time. So I was, we were very influential in making it happen, especially with everything he had going on in his life.
Is there such thing as too much music?
For Logic or
Yes.
in general?
No, for him.
Putting out too much music?
Yeah.
I do not think so. I think that Drake changed the way the music business works, because Drake and Future were putting out not only quality music but a high volume, and they took the stigma of a cycle away. I don't think there's such thing as too much music. I think if the music's good, there's no such thing. Future, respectfully, I think he's gone in waves, but Drake has stayed so consistent that he can put out whatever he wants whenever he wants. But our philosophy with our younger clients that we have now is 2 projects a year, just to build that base.
And how? Well, I know you recently started, or I know you recently announced.
Yes.
Visionary Music.
No, it's very confusing. I just explained it to my grandma yesterday. So Visionary Music Group, it was Chris and I for several years. We hired somebody else, Lawrence Lamb, who used to be an agent at Paradigm. Awesome dude. Works with me on all things operations. And we then partnered with Jesse Corin, who manages Quinn 92, signed to Columbia, Chelsea Cutler, who's unsigned, Jeremy Zucker, signed to Republic and AOK. So we have 7 clients on the management side. The seventh client is 6. The 7th client is 6, Logic's producer.
Yes.
Which is very confusing.
I know.
He should
So,
be-
yeah.
he should
I
be the
understand
second-
why. I get why your grandma would be confused.
Got it.
Yeah,
So that's the core business right now. Obviously.
And where does Sermon's Domain fit in?
Sermon's Domain is that's my brother.
Yeah.
So Sermon's Domain is the biggest legend of the internet.
Yes.
You guys know Sermon via the internet, I
Yep.
assume.
Yeah.
He handles all of our social media. He's done a tremendous job. You'd be floored by, when he came to New York recently, how many very attractive women wanted him to handle their social media.
Of course.
He's a legend. He's so pure. We met him. He did an interview for Logic in Seattle years ago, 2013 probably.
For his own...
For Sermon's Domain, the blog,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is pretty much more important than MTV or the Grammys. It's
Yeah.
literally the most important platform on the internet. So
Yeah.
shout out Sermon's Domain.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, can I run your socials?" And we were like, "Sure." We knew he was a hip hop head. Rest in peace, Mac Miller was a huge Sermon's Domain fan. He used to tweet, "I don't give a fuck about the reviews unless Sermon reviews it." And that's how he came in the picture. So he handles all the social media for Team Visionary. So Visionary Music Group, we have our management vertical, and then Chris and I just partnered on Visionary Records in partnership with Sony. We have no artist signed yet. We just announced it 3 days, I think Friday. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. 3 days ago. We're super excited about it. Obviously, as the record business is coming back and the pendulum swings back, we think that being young, innovative managers will expedite the process of breaking artists. So.
And what sold you on Sony?
Rob Stringer and Chris had a really good relationship, and they were just really, really excited to work with us. And it's a beautiful situation where we can choose to work with RCA, Arista, Columbia, or Epic. You're not tied to one. So if we feel artist X is best for RCA because of this certain product manager or this certain executive, we can run with that. But we have to work now. People are congratulating us, but there's a lot of work to be done.
Well, and personally, how validating was it for you to be named 30 under 30?
Very, to be honest. It was more important for me to see Chris on it the first year and see Logic on it. I knew Logic was going to get it. I wasn't surprised. But it was more important to see him get it because he deserves the world, and he really has given me more exposure and more mentorship than anyone in my life. But it was, to be honest, it was incredibly validating, but I think well deserved. I devoted my whole life. I worked so hard, man. People say we really do 18 hours in the office, and it was just two of us for so long.
Yeah.
But ecstatic about that partnership we did with Jesse earlier this year. The 4 new artists are incredible people, and
6 is the 7th.
Yes, and 6, but 6 was always in the family, so it was just we just did the
He's
work
really
for
the
free.
first.
Yeah, in essence, he's the
Second.
second.
Yeah.
In essence, yes. But they're amazing. Jeremy Zucker is a singer-songwriter signed to Republic who's got a great record come through that's really spiking on Spotify and Apple. And Quinn, 92, is currently on tour visiting his biggest fans at their homes. He just pulled up his tour bus to his mom's house in Detroit, which is awesome. He will play a sold-out show at Terminal 5 and sold out the Wiltern this year. And then Chelsea is in Copenhagen tonight playing her first European tour, and she will sell her entire U.S. tour out doing 2 Irving Plazas at the Fonda Theater in L.A. So, we're obsessed with feeding their base and just touring. Yeah.
That's
we're
awesome.
obsessed.
I need stories about the following 3 people,
Sure.
and also if you can rank them as athletes.
Sure.
Okay. Big Lembo,
Yes.
Justin Fleischer,
Yes.
and Schwei.
Sure.
Okay.
So,
That's a good question.
Yeah, thank you.
Big Lembo is he's the Eli Manning of the Rat Pack, because Eli Manning is a 2-time Super Bowl winner, but despite being the worst quarterback of all time now, you really can't take away the Super Bowl rings from him. Big Lembo is forever the greatest. He's the legend. So he's the godfather of this whole. He's our, he's my big brother. He's by far number 1 ranked as a human, me and him have been through so much shit that people just couldn't imagine. And he always gives me the respect, and I always, share the love back. Fleischer, I actually gave him the job at Visionary, which is interesting. I love him to death. Schwei's a better athlete. Fleischer's more.
Fleischer's got the heart, though.
Fleischer's more competitive.
Yeah.
He's a poor man's Charles Oakley. Do you guys still ball?
I never. No.
Okay. So,
Still, I take issue with that.
So
I'd like to. I have not lately.
So we hoop a ton when he's in New York. We got a cool little run. Schwei's the better athlete if you're talking agility. But if I have to rely on somebody to get the job done on the court, I go Fleischer. But Big Lembo, by far, I have to just give him the number 1 slot across the board.
Does Schwei wear like the Horace Grant goggles?
I wish he did, because I would like that a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a good squad, man. We got
Yeah.
a good squad. Logic's getting pretty good. 6 is getting very good when he's on the court as the 5th.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Logic's bodyguards, Pep and Jordan can really hoop. Pep and I have just rediscovered our love for all things Sebastian Telfair, OJ Mayo,
Wow.
and that era of basketball.
Wow.
So we're just obsessed. We got a nice little squad. That being said, so I want to flip it. So give me your. I've been waiting to do this so long.
Q.
Give me your number 1 seeds for rappers, current and not.
Yeah.
Dead and alive, and what is the term?
I don't know. Keep
Yeah.
going. Yeah. I
Give
know
me
about it.
your
Yeah.
You're doing your selection Sunday. Give me your top 4.
Of-
Your number
of-
1, and then give me your last 4 in.
Oh, at rapper. Like
Yeah,
rappers
if you
at
rap
rapping.
rappers in the NCAA tournament of rapping.
So we're
Okay.
dealing with.
So I need the top 4 seeds and the last 4 in.
So it's 65 teams because they have the play-in.
68, I think.
68. Yeah. Okay. So the top 4 seeds. You want to go, Jeff? Your number 1s.
And this is, again, rappers rapping, not like rappers who play basketball.
Right,
The way that
corrout
we already did the.
Yeah.
the
Shout out
other-
to Waz and Trey. Yeah.
There's no involvement with the basketball. This
Okay.
is
Just
rappers
rappers.
behind the mic.
Okay. Best rappers.
This is so complex.
Okay.
Career, the whole career.
I would say Biggie number 1.
Dead or alive.
I would say Jay number 2. I would say so. These are my top. All the one seeds. These are the one.
Joe
seeds.
Lenardi is on NBC, and he is saying,
Yeah, the
Biggie
one
will
seed
face
from the-
off against
Yeah.
Atmosphere in the 1-16 game. Yeah. Shout out my boy Jay Bird.
Atmosphere.
Atmosphere would get a 16.
Yeah. Okay, so it would be Biggie, Jay. I would say 2 Chainz, and I would say Cameron.
Okay, I was actually going to say the same.
Okay.
I was
You
going
guys
to
are
say
all in on Two Chainz.
the same.
I love
Yeah.
that.
All
Shout
in
out
on
Tech.
Two. Did you see
Shout
that?
out- I
Yeah.
know.
Shout out to
Shout
Tech.
out Tech.
Big shout out to Tech.
Yeah.
Tech's my guy.
Yeah. Okay, and last four in.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, the first one that comes to mind is Lil Flip.
Love that.
Let's go with. Okay, I'm just gonna go quickly. Plies. I want to say. I need like a Dipset. I would say yeah. I'll put Jewels all the way down there.
I was going to say that.
And then
It's the real. We made it.
yeah. Wow.
You're handling a lot of artists now.
Yes.
You're a busy guy now.
Very.
How spread thin can you get?
I am spread very thin, but I'm really confident in what I do. We've got a really good system down, Chris and I, and then we just hired another person on the management side. Shout out Brendan, who's a killer. We believe in quality over quantity. A lot of people just want to get big-eyed and just get this big office and hire a ton of people, but I'd rather have 5 aces than 12, subpar players, right?
Yeah.
So we got it. It's on track now. Obviously, as we build the records vertical out, we'll hire on that side. But we're good on management now, and we're really focused on breaking, not only breaking the new artist, but also helping Logic achieve the next steps in his career, which is he really wants to be. He wants to step into film and TV. He wants to,
Well, yeah. Is that
be
line?
successful with
Is
his-
that line true?
Which line?
The line in his new song where he says that he got on a plane, wrote a
Yeah.
script, and then sold it.
Yeah, he did sell it. Yes.
Wow.
He wrote that song in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
All right.
Beautiful Ann Arbor.
I woke up
University
to
of
a text
Michigan.
at
Yeah.
7 a.m. that's at Find Me Music Studio, and I found him. Big Sky Recordings. Shout out Chuck, the guy at BigKy Recordings.
That's awesome.
What's the hardest
Let me
1
just
hour?
finish that one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I do have an answer for that.
Yeah.
So the main focus now is getting Logic to the next level, sustaining, not only sustaining but continuing to grow. I think there's work to be done on the touring front, on just his rise globally. John Bellion, an incredible artist, an incredible producer, an incredible songwriter that put his heart and soul into his last album. That we want to share that message with the world. And these emerging artists really, it's a really hard time to break artists right now. So figuring out creative ways to break them and to establish touring careers early on, which we are doing. So
Yeah.
but bandwidth, I don't stop till the job's done. So I don't think I'm spread too thin in any way.
Yeah.
And Chris is really good at recognizing when we would need to bring on someone else. But I've been given so many tasks that are so wild that I've achieved, and we've all achieved, like the 250 Latino families on the VMAs, which the best story about that is I had to hire, we were so over budget, like beyond. And so I was like, my mom speaks fluent Spanish. I was like, okay, you're a translator, go. So she came, my girlfriend, Jill, she's amazing. She came. So she was,
Wait, does your girlfriend speak Spanish, or is she just along for the ride?
She's just along
Yeah.
for the ride.
Okay.
Yeah. She,
Or as they say, contigo.
yeah, estamos contigo.
Yeah.
Yeah, trabajando. So they had placed us. Obviously, they couldn't place us in Radio City. They had to move us to the Marriott because we were not the executives.
Sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't
Yeah.
want to go into that. But
Yeah,
we
yeah,
were
yeah,
placed
yeah.
across
Yeah,
the
yeah,
street.
Yeah, some people stay at the Four Seasons in Waterbury.
Yeah.
We were at the Marriott. So me and my 250 friends. And where it's very strategically to get the aisles and the shot, you have to put 12 kids here, 6 kids there, whatever. So the cool things that happen right before the show are, right before Logic performs, are my girlfriend is leading a pack of 8 kids. I think it was like the kids like 10 and under, so they're very little. She bumps into Spencer from The Hills, that MTV show.
Spencer
Sure.
Pratt. Yeah.
Spencer Pratt,
Yeah.
who she, I guess, had a crush on, but he was in the way, and she was like, Spencer, get the fuck out of my way.
Wow.
So shout out Jill.
Yeah,
big shout
out
for,
to Jill.
For not being starstruck,
Yeah.
but most importantly, telling Spencer to get the fuck out of her way.
Yeah.
I'm literally like clearing people out of the aisles saying, like, watch what's going to happen. Nicki Minaj forgets her award, forgets her phone, and her bodyguards go back in to get her phone because losing Nicki's phone would be
I'm pretty bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
terrible. So, and I'm going up to these bodyguards. They're twice my size. And I'm like, get the fuck out of the way. I got these Latino kids coming through in like 5 seconds. So thank God I just got them out of the way in time.
And they didn't murder you.
I know, yeah, Nikki didn't murder. Yeah, Nikki got her phone back. Thank
Good,
God.
yeah.
I hope her contacts are still synced.
Yeah.
And stuff. And they didn't murder me. And then all my my good friends crushed it on the performance.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
What is the hardest assignment you had to solve in like an hour?
There's so many. There are so many. I think a recent one that was really cool, and the two ones that come to my mind, they're not hour long. Logic is obsessed with his album art, and he's very, very, very involved. And everything from like the color of the blue and
Right.
everything.
He wants a cerulean.
Yes, he is the only rapper besides Kanye West to go to the printer at UMG in the basement to see his album cover being printed to check the color.
Wow.
So doing all of his album covers is very, very intense. John Billion just shot a music video underwater where he needed a recreation of a full trench coat that he had drawn, and I had to get a waterproof version with lights on it that could withstand 6 hours of shooting.
How do you do that?
You just figure it out, man.
Do you?
You just figure it out. I don't do it myself. You find the best people to do it. What else, man? I don't know. When we were first touring, maybe the second tour, our trailer fell off our bandwagon, which
Sure.
is an in between a tour bus and a minivan. It's literally just like a rectangle with beds on an RV, on a truck. I somehow figured out how to fix it. I don't know how. Do
you know anything about cars?
No, but me and shout out Sladro. He drove it. We figured it out. I don't know, within a few hours, and it all.
That sounds like what
Man,
your job is.
somehow it always works out. I don't know how. That documentary was really tough clearing that.
Yeah.
Really, really tough.
No, you're a guy who gets things done.
That's what I do.
That is your
Yeah,
job.
that's what I do.
Yeah, listen, I think that, well, first of all, I do want to say that Justin has been texting, wondering how it went. So how did it go?
It went great.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
What's your process? Do you ever fight? How do you collab? You've been together so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
And then that's the first question. The second question is, if you had to compare yourselves to a NBA duo, what would it be?
I would say I'm like Grandmama, and you're like, I don't know,
Muggsy Bogues.
What's our process like? I think
Because collaboration's not easy.
It's not, and I think that also on top of it, like we live together and we work together,
And we're brothers.
and there's a lot of and we have a lot of the same friends. Like there's a lot of things that go into it, but I think that overall we mostly are good.
Yeah.
I would say like we fight maybe 10%
Every so
of the
often,
time. Yeah.
only about the intro.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We never argue about anything else, just the intro, and
Yeah.
that can get heated because it's a moment of creativity that you want to get right, and it just happens to be like on deadline. So you know how that is.
But yeah, I think that like our process is like Eric doesn't like to do research because he likes the conversation to be natural. I like to do more of I like to be able to understand like the parameters of what I'm working with, and so I did do a deep dive on you, and
You didn't touch on a few of the online articles there are on me.
there are some very like interesting ones, like you like I said, like I
My
read your
fundraise for Haiti.
Yeah, in 2010.
Yeah, but two of the kids on the team on my team were banned because they got caught drinking via Facebook, like a red Solo cup. But we would have beat Uniondale. Imagine how much better the story would have been if not only we raised $2,500 that day, but we beat
the
them.
Haitians. Yeah, so horrible. But like my
That was
I
like
guess
another bizarre situation my dad like forced me to do. He was
Oh,
like,
I was
dude,
gonna-
he was like, dude, there was an
earthquake, and
there was
yeah.
an earthquake. There's Haitian, like, figure this out. And I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, but like I was gonna ask, like because you're not somebody who has natural connections to Haiti, and then you do it, and so I thought that it was a very like honorable thing. It turns out that it was shots to your dad.
No, it came from my heart. It was
Yeah.
honorable. It was the right thing to do. I'm very, very fortunate. My dad pushed me to do it.
But I did say to Eric, I was like, there's a million press hits that this kid did as a teen. I'm like, what is he like? Was that all you did? You just did press as a teenager?
I was just like, I don't know. I was weird, man. I was an outcast. We would have been friends.
At the end of the day, I'm just happy that you've made it your job to get the bag, whether that's getting Logic the bag or Vinny Bag the bag.
Yeah. Vinny Bags is getting that bag, man.
Yeah.
All cash, too. All cash.
Listen, congratulations on 30 Under 30. Congratulations on making a career for yourself. And congratulations on everything that you have planned going forward, especially with Sony, because that sounds super dope.
Yeah.
And thanks so much for being the first guest in our new apartment.
Yeah.
Thank you, and congratulations to you guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
And thanks for the Q&Q. Thanks everyone for listening to this new episode of A Waste Time with It's The Real Jeff. If you want to find out more about us, I'm Eric, you're Jeff. Together, we are It's The Real. If you want to find out more about this podcast thing of ours, it's called A Waste of Time with It's The Real. Get familiar. Woo! If you want to find out more about anything that's going on with us, Jeff, where can they go?
You can always go to itsthereal.com/shop. Itsthereal.com for all of your It's The Real needs, and you guys have a lot of It's The Real needs.
Guys, it's time to take care of those needs. Go to itsthereal.com.
So you can always go and sign up for our newsletter. You can go and you can buy some shit. You can also find out everything that's going on with us right there at itsthereal.com. You can also find all of our old episodes and our new ones at iTunes. Search for It's The Real. Go to Spotify, search for It's The Real. And you want to know what? Go to CastBox. I don't even know what CastBox is, but it exists, and people like it. Search for It's The Real on there.
Jeff, I'm going to say this too. For those of you out there who fuck with SoundCloud, we're there.
SoundCloud.com/awasteoftime, SoundCloud.com/2Jews2BlackDudes.
If people are looking for us on social media, Jeff, what can they do with their lives?
Fix it. You can also go for It's The Real. It's The Real on Twitter, It's The Real on Facebook, It's The Real on Instagram.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the part that all of you have been waiting for. This is why you went and signed up for that newsletter, Jeff. This is the time when people want to hear us say their names out loud. So what are you going to do?
I'm just going to do it off the top of my head.
Like eyes closed?
Yeah, eyes closed, top of my head.
It's like a magic trick.
Yeah. So I just want to... Hold on, I just need to think about it.
Yeah.
Here we go.
All right.
I want to shout out Nick Kelminski from Detroit, Michigan.
Shout out to Nick.
I want to shout out Josen Cummings from New York.
Shout out to Josen,
who we actually know.
Yeah.
I want to shout out Sair Mula from Toronto, Canada.
Shout out to Sair.
I want to shout out Vaughn the General. No location. I want to shout out John DeRosa from Deerfield Beach, Florida.
Shout out to John.
Mark Prodanovich from Rotterdam, Netherlands.
Shout out to Mark.
I also want to shout out Ludwig from The Hague, also in the Netherlands. Jasper from Geneva.
Shout out to Jasper.
Lethabo from Johannesburg.
Shout out to you.
Joburg. I also want to shout out Greg Hoffa. Hoffa's not his last name, but he says he's Hoffa. Greg Hoffa.
Okay, shout out to Greg.
I also want to shout out Carol Griffin. I also want to shout out Dustin Hayes. I also want to shout out Carlos Lawrence, Jake Roth, Kevin Reed, Steven Alexander, Michaela Barnett. And fuck it, let's just go with Slicknick the Ruler.
All right.
I want to shout out Jade Hicks. I want to shout out Jeff Porter. I want to shout out Andrew Regalado
Guys,
from Chicago, Illinois.
We appreciate you all.
Dwight Sylvester
for signing up for the newsletter.
Hannah Kern from Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
At itsthereal.com. Go grab yourself a mean mug at itsthereal.com/shop. Jeff, as always, not for real, for real.
John Watson from New York, New York.
We'll see you guys next week.